Days of Our Lives, Philip saves Xander, demands a heart, stopping Price to stay silent. Days of Our Lives spoilers Wednesday, June 18th. Beau and Hope's marriage due over. Couple's heartfelt Salem exit. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. After watching these videos, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Days of Our Lives sees Philip Kiriakis has eventually opened his eyes on Monday's occasion. Important to his family, Xander cooked Kiriakis' surprise. And incredibly, Philip is going to lie and cover for Xander. But does that silence come at a price? Xander's awkward encounter pillow talk gone wrong on Days of Our Lives. So, it's enough awkward when the family you tried to beat to death wakes up just as you're trying to smother him with a pillow. But that's where Xander set up himself at the morning of this week, pillow in hand, brewing over Philip's, who opened his eyes and saw his family. Xander prevaricated and told other people that he was in the room just to check on Philip, as one does when you try to murder them. And of course, Xander prevaricated and said he was just wishing his family Philip a speedy recovery. And Xander indeed said what a phenomenon it was that his family eventually woke up. Kate's dubitation and Philip's shocking revelation. Days of Our Lives spoilers. And of course, Kate Roberts was freaking out when she saw the Salem Bobby at the lobby coffee station getting some water at his post outside her son Philip's room. And the officer claimed he suddenly felt queasy and had to run to the restroom because he got all pukey. Kate suspected foul play involved and advised Jada Hunter. Kate and Sarah Horton were stunned to find Philip awake with Xander lurking in the room. Since Kate and Sarah both know Xander was the bone who put Philip in that coma on Days of Our Lives, nearly beating him to death, they were on high alert about Xander's presence this week. So, Philip shocks everybody when he tells a different story about the night he was attacked. The price of silence. Will Philip control Titan on Days of Our Lives? Still, Xander may have to pay a high cost for this taradiddle so that he can stay out of captivity. We'll see. Philip covering for Xander could come with a considerable price label, and commodity he might demand could be full control of Titan Demera. But for now, Kate is so relieved that Philip is awake and doing much better. But Xander fears Philip will press charges for the assault and shoot him straight to Statesville captivity. And in fact, that's what Xander completely expects Philip to do. So he took off before he could be questioned before Philip started talking. Philip's deception and Xander's fury of fraternal treason on Days of Our Lives. Astonishingly this week, Philip lies to everybody about what happened the night he was attacked. So first, Jada is grilling him about what happened. And from the veritably first, Philip denies his family hurt him and says it was surely not Xander. But we also know how conniving and underhanded Philip can be. So Xander may have to turn over the arm at Titan Demera, or Philip could press charges against him. And indeed, if the whole phony thing came out, I suppose there might be mitigating circumstances now that Xander severely beat Philip. Days suckers know that Xander and Philip had been getting along great up until the phony taradiddle and the Versix thing. You know, Xander's been maddened ever since he said about his family Philip used the letter forged by Vivian Alamain to take him to court to steal half of Titan. From bro cling to heartbreak, the Xander and Philip saga continues. And you know what? Before that came out, Xander had rolled with the punches, and he was embracing Philip as a family. Plus, it was all made worse when Sarah decided to cover for Philip and lie to her darling hubby. But, you know, Xander and Philip did really authentically like each other. They were getting on and making big moves, and they had taken Demera right out from under Kristen Demera. They were grandly fiving and bro-cling. I loved it. It was veritably cute. It was veritably sweet. But when the unattractive verity came out, Xander was he was rankled at Philip, you know, and the Versix incident pushed him over the edge. But I suppose what it was, Xander was agonized, like he'd kind of fallen for the idea of Philip as his family. And also from his perspective, it's like, it was all a taradiddle. I meant nothing to him, you know. Xander's motives and the question of premeditation on Days of Our Lives. And of course, after Xander brazened Sarah, she was absolutely unapologetic for lying to him. So Xander's angry at her right now as well, especially since Sarah's not letting him see his son Victoria. So, I'm not sure if Xander went to smother Philip because he's still angry at him or because Xander, you know, was hoping that if he took care of Philip, He could avoid captivity, and perhaps Philip wasn't going to wake up anyway. Like a mercy payoff. I do'n't know. To be honest, Xander might not have indeed allowed it through duly. I mean, he did take way leading up to it, but that doesn't mean he counted everything out. You know, Caleb Brady, Mary Beth Evans, had just been speaking Xander about his wrathfulness operation issues and his impulse control. But on the other hand, Xander's conduct this week were well allowed out because he planned ahead to medicine the guard, presumably. You know, we're assuming he did that. Manslaughter or premeditated murder Xander's implicit fate on Days of Our Lives. So, while I suppose Philip might have forgiven Xander for the original beating because Philip might have felt like, okay, I merited it. The follow-up action of planning to smother him in his sanitarium bed might be a little harder to forgive. You know, Xander beating Philip in his hostel room was his temper snapping. You know, it was that wrathfulness operation issue, but the alternate attempt Xander made to get Philip this week was premeditated 100. So, not only could Philip tell Jada that Xander beat him nearly to death, but Philip could say he woke up to Xander holding a pillow over his face. Absolute verity. The beating could be eased down to manslaughter. You know, that's a many times behind bars. Xander could do that easy. But the other attempt on Philip was absolutely premeditated murder. One that could shoot him to captivity for life. A hint of hope can the Kyriaki sisters attune on Days of Our Lives? But I do and suppose all is lost for the Kyriaki sisters. Our Days of Our Lives leaker told us that Philip is going to work to regrow his fraternal bond with Xander. And from there, Philip is going to try to help Xander win back Sarah. He wants to put effects back together that he broke. Still, that doesn't mean Philip is doing everything altruistically. Belle's battle and Philip's motives, what's next for Xander on Days of Our Lives? So, to start off, Philip claims it was Xander that nearly killed him. Jada reports back to DA Belle Black on what Philip said, and Belle's going to freak out, go defy Philip, and demand to know why he's lying. I mean, Belle and Jada may suppose that Xander's hanging him or a commodity, but Philip's not going to back down. He insists Xander's innocent. I'll say that numerous Days suckers suppose Philip is going to want commodity big in return for keeping quiet and keeping Xander out of captivity. Philip could contend that he wants his co-CEO position back again. Or perhaps he does and settle for co-CEO. Perhaps Philip demands that Xander make him sole CEO of Titan Demera, you know, and there's also the big question of whether Philip is saving Xander out of guilt, out of the virtuousness of his heart, or for further raptorial and selfish reasons. You know, these men are both sons of Victor Kyriakis, who was wickedness externalized. So, Xander and Philip come by those devious genes. The price of freedom, will Philip demand a high price from Xander? Actually, you know, I mean, whatever Philip asks for, I'm guessing Xander's going to have to agree because he just CA and kill Philip at this point because Xander's formerly the top suspect in the near payoff. So, we're going to see if Philip demands a high price for keeping Xander out of captivity or if Philip tells Xander the price is simply, you have to let me back into your life. Because he wants to make amends and for them to be real sisters. Real sisters with no docket between them. And of course, Kate wants Xander behind bars and may try and say that Philip's not right in his head because of the injuries or his recollections are defective, or he's been hovered into silence by Xander. But if Philip insists his family didn't do it, there's nothing Kate or police manager Jada or District Attorney Belle can do about it. Days of Our Lives spoilers Wednesday, June 18th. Beau and Hope's marriage due. Over, couple's heartfelt Salem exit. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, June 18th. Reveal that Beau Brady and Hope Brady will enjoy a marriage due. Over as this couple prepares for a sincere Salem exit. Wednesday's Days of Our Lives occasion will be a veritably special one since it'll substantially concentrate on Hope and Beau's renewed love story. After spending some canoodling in bed together, alleviation will strike for Hope. It looks like Hope will suppose back on Julie Williams' marriage to Doug Williams before it goes off. Hope will realize she'd like to have a marriage due, over of her own with Beau, so she'll slip an old matrimonial gown and come downward to Beau in his bachelor vesture. Days spoilers say that'll set the stage for Beau to get down on one knee and pop the question formally again. This marriage offer will lead to Hope and Beau saying some meaningful promises to each other, so some sweet scenes are surely on the way. Bo and Hope will eventually seal it with a kiss as they get ready to depart the oil. Although Hope and Bo's rearmost days stint has been brief, they've managed to army in some great romantic moments. Bo and Hope will plan on coming back to visit Salem as frequently as they can, but they've got new adventures to attack right now. Day's spoilers say Hope and Bo will leave, so they can travel the globe like they did numerous times agone. It'll be a blast, from the history plan that both Bo and Hope are completely on board with. Speaking of blasts from the history, Zach CHYZ and Sydney K. Smith will duplication their places as youngish performances of Tom and Alice Horton on Tuesday's show. There'll be some dummy Alice and Tom flashbacks in the midst of Bo and Hope's farewell occasion. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Hope and Bo will get a fantastic salutation, so stay tuned for updates on any other news about their forthcoming peregrination. Thanks for watching these videos. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.